Hello everybody, welcome to episode 13 of my Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup tutorial series. I'm Icon and today we're going to go for a real adventure. So after thinking a lot about the last rune, we're going to go for the last level of the vaults in this run. So the other option would be going into the abyss. So usually you'll find a couple of portals into the abyss, and there you will be able to get another rune. So the main difference between going vaults and the abyss lies in one simple thing. Vaults 5 is a controllable chaos, whereas abyss is uncontrollable. You will be stumbling through a randomly generated dungeon, and eventually you will find a chamber where the rune is in, and if you don't conquer that rune chamber quickly enough, you will be randomly teleported away again until you find another copy of that one. It's really that crazy. Or you are quick enough to conquer it and then you can get out of there. It's pretty rough, especially since you don't get to select when to leave the abyss. The abyss decides when you'll leave. So here, my biggest issue here is right now that my negative resistance is non-existent, so let's put up a search query for RN+. So let's see, what kind of negative resistance items are out there? So seriously, not too many. That's... wow. Quite unusual. So one of the few things that we could do now would be equipping my old Mace of Mutilation, but I'm not really down. The other option would be to wear the Hat of Pride. That would be reducing my fire, so RF+. Is there anything I can do against that which I can actually wear, or, well, no, not really. Well, okay, I got a ring that has R poison, okay. How about my ring slots? Well, I have one that I'm already wearing. Dang. Okay, never mind. So our big issue here is the lack of resistance against negative energy, and we're not finding any. So sadly, I'll have to go downstairs without. Sometimes it just happens that the game doesn't deliver what you need. Don't break your head too much about that. Okay, so before we go down here, this is one of the worst parts the game has to offer. Don't go downstairs there without being well prepared. So we're going to sip in a potion of might right away. Or do we? No, not might. But we're going to hasten us before we go downstairs there. And my religious bonuses, I turn them off right there. And let's go down, and you'll see what's all the fuzz about. So here we are immediately surrounded by 24 vault guards. As you see, this is the standard setup. There's all these dudes around me, and all the staircases are here, so there's no other staircase in the entire level. So let's magic map that. So you see there are these 4 quarters. Every one of these is filled with baddies that are way worse than what's around me. And one of these 4 chambers is the rune we're looking for. The other 3 chambers are filled with random treasures and baddies. So the interior design of these 4 areas is always different. It's only one thing always present in Vaults 5, and that's the center here, being surrounded by all these vault dudes, and these 4 quarters. One of them includes what we're looking for. So here, when you're a Minotaur Berserker or Minotaur Fighter, you can't just go in there and step upstairs as soon as the first portion of these dudes is around you. And now we go downstairs one more time, and upstairs immediately. So this is a very tense and bad situation. So I'm taking 1 or 2 swings to find out whether or not I'm capable of taking down one of these dudes without dying, but it seems like we're pretty okay. I only lost really not too many HP, so now I'm stepping away from here, because really I don't want to be surrounded by 8 of these dudes at once. That's not really desirable. And now we're just slapping them. And The worst thing that can happen to you in this scenario is that one of the red vault guards comes and joins the party and locks the staircase while you're standing right next to it. That's kind of like the worst case scenario here. So we're going upstairs one more time, and yet again I'm using the opening to walk away. So there's several different ways to tackle this. One absolutely viable solution when you can't survive it like I do here is go invisible immediately, because these dudes, they can't see invisible. Whoops, forget what I said. Go haste and immediately pop a scroll of teleportation when you're downstairs, and pray to RNGesus that you're not going to be teleported in the middle of other enemies. If necessary, repeat and teleport just again as soon as things go bad. Because, you know, this entire environment here is filled with so many super nasty enemies that you don't know if the first teleport will bring you somewhere where you want to be. So that's also why this is considerably one of the most dangerous environments, because you have a certain element of chance that spells doom, and you can't do much about that. So let's go back upstairs again. This time we brought up a Dreadlitch. This dude has to be eliminated super quickly because of his summon greater demons shenanigans. Everything that can summon greater demons has to be destroyed. Tormentors, for example, it's only one of the things. Everything that can use Symbol of Torment is allowed to cut your HP by 50%. So you already know that. Another thing here is the Tentacled Monstrosity. They are really nasty too. Not only are they pretty strong, like 126 HP, do a lot of damage too. With those tentacles they attack quite often, but they constrict you. So while you're constricted, it's basically not possible to flee upstairs. So you have to get yourself out of that constriction before you can do anything else. So right now I'm surrounded by two of these dudes, and the situation is going worse and worse. So now I'm going to take 2 swings, but no. As you see here, it's only growing worse. There's now 2 things that I could do. Either take down the Tentacled Monstrosity and run upstairs, or pop a teleportation scroll. For now, I want to try to take down the Monstrosity and run upstairs. Oh, we're barred away because one of the red dudes showed up. You see, that's how quick it can go. And now we have to teleport because we are in deep, deep trouble. Sajobo over here is a unique... Give me a sec. You feel disoriented? My teleportation got cancelled. Why am I not teleported? You feel strangely unstable. So in situations like these, we're going to go for a haste potion one more time. There's okay, I really don't know why it doesn't work. We're going to pop now a scroll of fear. So everything that's capable of being feared will be feared. And now we're going to blink what's here. And for now, I carefully run away. My character is hastened, so I will be faster than my enemies. There's these lightning elemental or these wind elementals on me. I gotta get rid of them because they are faster than me and they will outrun me. So now let's see if I can pop that teleportation scroll now. So yeah, for some reason, something canceled my teleport. Stuff like that can happen down here. You have to be very, very cautious with that. Okay, so we're standing here right next to a Titan and an Etin. This is, compared to where we started, actually an upgrade. So I immediately pop on my God skills again, because right now I'm in absolute mortal danger. It's really, it couldn't be worse. Surviving here is extremely hard, and I want to get down as many of these dudes as possible while hiding myself in a corner where I can defend myself. Okay, good news. We were able to regenerate up here, so we got lucky with that teleportation. And yeah, you know, stuff like what's happened there a moment ago, those are reasons why a lot of people actually don't take vaults at all. Vaults 5. Some people are like, if they can avoid it for the 3 rune runs, they totally avoid it. And I really do understand why. Okay, Dreadlitch. Almost gone. Good. Phantasmal warriors are extremely dangerous in the vicinity of dudes that have spells that break your magic or that influence your magic resistance, because a phantasmal warrior can cut your magic resistance in half, so you know. Okay, but this corner here is pretty good because it breaks a lot of line of sight to my enemies. It's quite cozy here in that corner. Only 2 enemies can attack me at once. And I'm just waiting for everything that comes my way here. Every enemy that I slap down here is a step forward. So actually, you see me here also waiting, even though my character is perfectly fine. I just keep pressing 5 on the num block. Oh, there's Sojobo. So let's turn on our God Gifts. Just press 5 on the num block until somebody new shows up and comes around the corner. So why the hell did I get paralyzed? So here we have new questions. I really wonder why I got paralyzed. So didn't really find it why. Okay, not that important. So with our God Gifts, killing Sojobo ain't that hard. Sojobo, by the way, is one of the worst enemies that can cross your way. And by the way, these Vault Sentinels are really, really horrible too. Tango Reaver has corroded me. Outrageous. Okay. And if you go down here, one of the most important things to be prepared with is a potion of cancellation, at least one. Simply because if one of these blue vault dudes does cast a mark on you, and you're not able to remove that, this might be easily your death sentence, because if this entire level knows where you are and starts swarming towards you without any chance of regenerating, it's really, really dangerous. Okay, so since now after a couple of waiting sequences nobody came anymore, I decided to go in there, and lucky me, I already got my Silver Rune of ZOT. There we go. Bam. High Priest quite resilient. Yay! So we got now 3 runes. 3 runes are all you need to start finishing the game. So if you ever come this far for the first time, you should sit back, breathe in, and be damn proud of yourself, because this is one of the hardest things you can achieve in Crawl, besides winning the game. But seriously, getting this far is a big achievement. And every time I go into vaults, I am absolutely afraid. Even though I've beaten vaults 5 now, I don't know how many times. I'm not counting, you know, often. And it's still a super, super frightening experience for me to go down here every single time. What is that? Eleonoma. Splinter Spray. Wood Wheel. Okay. It's a new enemy. Never seen that one before. So if you see something new that you don't know what it's going to be, just examine it. Check out their skills. You should do this as often as possible when you don't know what's going on around you. So there's this blue dude again. Oh, please don't mark me. I don't even know if they have any chance anymore of marking me, but I'm severely frightened whenever I see one of these markers, you know. The good thing is, as long as there's nobody... Oh, I'm marked now. As long as there's somebody between you and the Sentinel, you're gonna be fine. So I'm going to be a little bit sassy now. I'm going to start and see if I can wait out that mark. I should have been through most of this level already, and the other thing why I do this is quite simple. I'll just teleport away if things go bad. But we're going to activate our God skills here to make sure that I'm going to slice apart these dudes with as little damage as possible. My character is regenerating, and look at that party. That's what we attracted just by getting marked, after having killed so much already on this level. So, just so you get an impression about how dangerous getting marked can be. So, I'm teleporting out of here. This is too much. I'm not feeling comfy with this kind of pressure. I wanted to try it out, but it was way more than I could tackle. This move was like consider it a calculated risk. You know, if you're marked, there's one good thing about that. All the enemies will be, like 90% of all enemies will be clumped together at one point that you now know where it's at. So there's a higher chance than usual that your teleport will actually save you. And by the way, it's also perfectly legit to flee from this place after you got your 3rd rune, instead of trying to clear it. Here what I'm doing is a little bit sassy, but I also want that XP, you know. So, slapping that War Gargoyle. Because the more XP you get before you go into ZOT, the better. Oh, dang. Got corroded here. There's another Deep Elf Sorcerer. Okay. So, for the first time, I dare to press Auto-Explore. Because I think I should be able to deal with this situation. Okay, Pot of Heal Wounds, Scroll of Ancient Armor. I think I have more than enough of these on myself. So, okay, well, I'll enchant my hat one more time. So there's the Tentacled Monstrosity from before. I'm going this way here, because I like this place. These corners are the best. Where there's really only one enemy at a time allowed to see you. Alright. So far, so good. Let's track the rest of these baddies down here. But usually, once you're done with the initial impact, the rest of the vaults is actually manageable as long as you're not asking to get killed. Take this level, though, seriously until the very end. There's no area in the game where there are actually much worse enemies. So this is already as bad as it can get. It's just a selection of as bad as it can get. There are other sorts of as bad as it can get. But really, the game doesn't hold itself back when it's spawning, when it's selecting the enemies that spawn down here. So once you're able to deal with this here, you're practically able to deal with most things in the game. Oh no, there's an Entropy Weaver. Okay. Entropy Weavers are, really quickly said, the gods of corrosion. There's no more corrosive monster than the Entropy Weaver, because they don't even need to hit you to corrode you. They just need to cast a spell while they're able to see you. That's all they need to do. So, you know, these guys are among the most feared enemies in the game. But we're doing a really good job here so far. This is one of the better runs of VAULTS 5. Okay. Seems as if we're done now. Oh, there's a High Priest still. But... okay then. All right, dear friends. That's the end of VAULTS 5. So all that remains now is get into the depths of ZOT. So ZOT is really... oh, wait a second. I meant depths 4, not dungeon 4. Silly. So here goes the end game. The actual end game. So you can open this door when you have 3 runes, and now welcome to ZOT. So before we do a single step here, one word of warning. ZOT has an entirely unique enemy set that's extremely deadly and extremely annoying, so we have to take care about that. Most of it are Draconians and dragons, but there's a lot of other things in between. So one thing here we have to talk about as well is the influence of the Orb of ZOT. Teleportation scrolls take longer, and blink scrolls are now blinking you uncontrolled, so you don't get to select where you will be teleported. Tentacled monstrosities belong to the standard procedure here as well, and here we see already we're being swarmed like crazy by these dudes, so popping up my god gifts, and this is already as bad as it can get. So we're going for a teleportation, trying to kill the tentacled monstrosity so I'm not getting being held anymore. And now let's just walk around the pillar here, and bad luck. Okay, when that happens, your wand of digging becomes your best friend. Okay, unless... wait a sec. Your wand of digging becomes your best friend. So we're going to go for... well, okay. Here's a Moth of Wrath. Moths of Wrath are among the worst things that can happen down here to you. I already explained them a while ago. They do nothing except for berserking others, but down here, one Moth of Wrath inside the wrong monster pack can spell immediate death. So you really should be careful with these. That's why digging kill holds is a very, very valid strategy here. So, by the way, if you have enough magic mapping scrolls left, the Realm of ZOT is 5 levels deep, and popping a scroll on every level is totally worth it. So here you can go for 2 strategies. One strategy would be to turbo clear the Realm of ZOT, basically, and try to dive as deep as possible, as quick as possible, so you don't have to deal with all the enemies. This is a very intriguing way to deal with things, but also a very deadly way of dealing with things. So here we have a Death Cob. Well, you know, these monsters down here start to be really, really crazy. Okay, don't take them too seriously. We're going to face extremely weird enemies. The Death Cob is fast, extremely fast even, and it slows you when it hits you. So there's really not much escaping from this thing. And like many enemies down here, their real power lies in their synergy with other enemies. About the Draconians, well, it's quite simple. There are 2 types of Draconians. Here, those which have just only a plain color, they come with a elemental flavor, and not much more than that. And the other type of Draconians are those that have a color and a job. These are the ones you should be worried about, because these are pretty much, yeah, well, you know, to give you an example, a Draconian Annihilator. Lehudip's Crystal Spear can hit for up to 105 damage. Lightning Bolt, Iron Shot, Blink, Poison Arrow. So these dudes, they have a pretty nasty repertoire of destructive magic on them, and basically every Draconian with a job works like this. They're all super deadly. And yeah, take them seriously. Take everything down here seriously. There is seriously no easy fight down here. The Shifters are among the worst enemies. They have this Blink Allies Encircling spell, which means they can blink all manner of different buddies of theirs onto you. It's really an annoying spell. And once one of these Draconian Shifters is in the fight, it's going to be not possible to be not swarmed. And to give you an idea of how bad things can go here, you've seen the Moths of Rage. So if you are seeing a Moth of Rage a Draconian shifter, and a handful of Draconians, and you're out in the open, run for your life. Or 1 moment later, you'll be encircled by a ton of frenzied Draconians that were shifted onto you by their buddy. It's really horrible. So here we go. But if you take it slowly and carefully, it's no problem. A Enrage, the Berserk status on the monsters is insanely powerful and should be always taken with care. So basically, whenever you see a Moth of Wrath and another enemy, try to break the line of sight immediately, because that's the best thing you can do. Everything is allowed, from wands to digging to scrolls of fog, as long as you're able to get to break that line of sight. It's the most important thing. Because every single dude that's enraged and is hanging on you is really, really deadly. And what's going on here? So yeah, I'm being smacked by an invisible Draconian here. So smacked around hard enough to actually consider sipping a potion. That hasn't happened since quite some time, but yeah. Draconian Knight, invisible. So let's see invisible. Do I have anything? Yes, I have a ring with that attribute. So I'm going to put off the Ring of Willpower and replace it with see invisible. My willpower is decent, and if necessary, I'll amp it up. Alright. So, I really don't know if we're going to make it from here. Lots of my characters have died while I was trying to tackle the Realm of ZOT, because it's just that dangerous here. And you might have already noticed I'm using the Wands of Digging quite freely here. And whenever I see a larger assortment of enemies, I'm immediately using that, because, you know, there's nothing worse than being swarmed by enemies here. Even though it means that I'm not using my spectral part of my weapon, because there's not enough room for my spectral weapon to pop up, but it's still better than being surrounded by Draconians. One of the most important things when you're playing the Realm of ZOT is to play like a scaredy cat. Like, whenever a situation is looking the least little bit dangerous, react way before that. Otherwise, you often don't have the time anymore to react accordingly. It's something that has happened to me quite often here, when I was reacting too late to things, and then due to the extreme delay on your teleport, due to the fact that you can't blink controlled anymore, all these things really, really mess up your day a lot, and therefore act earlier than usual. And let's magic map that. And with the Realm of ZOT, it's the same as with the Depths. Every part of the dungeon that looks handcrafted, be wary. These can be extremely dangerous because there are handcrafted, super nasty areas also in the Realm of ZOT. Yeah, just for you. So let's take down the Cob and the Moth of Wrath. Okay. Another thing, know where your upstairs is at, you know? Always have an eye out for your upstairs, because these are your points where you want to retreat, and you will want to retreat at some point. We haven't even seen the worst of the worst from down here yet, and there's a lot of even worse baddies that we're going to meet, I'm pretty sure. We haven't seen a single orb of fire yet. I mean, I don't want to mutter, but experienced players know what I'm talking about. So I'm really, really carefully exploring this area here, and as you might have already noticed, I'm not a big fan of skipping through the Realm of ZOT, because this will ultimately bite your back, and I'll explain why once we have that orb, or if I die trying, I'm going to explain it as well. So, as you might already also notice, I don't auto-explore anymore, because I'm too scared to do so. And I highly recommend you to avoid auto-exploring as well, because this is really nothing you should do here. control your movements, know where you're headed, and be aware of the fact that every open corridor is extremely dangerous and you want to break lines of sight as much as possible. Kill every enemy alone if possible. And by this point, you definitely need to have a weapon with a base damage of 10 or higher. Usually, well, quick blades are a different topic, but usually you should have your endgame weapon by here, because it doesn't get worse than that. Okay, ZOT 2 was a lot easier than ZOT 1. By the way, ZOT 1 is one of the worst levels because it only has one upstairs, so you can't escape from only one point. And yeah, let's see, ZOT 3. Let's magic map that place too. So I can already tell, for example, that this place looks like bad news. So we're going to go here very, very carefully. So the strategy of retreating whenever you see an enemy and taking them down is pretty smart, because you will draw less attention on yourself this way. And I'm also exploring here thoroughly around the up staircases, as you might already have noticed, to be sure that I have a way to escape from here if necessary. Always rest up after every one fight, and keep exploring like that. Okay, here's an open hallway. I'm very, very concerned about open hallways, because wherever you can get swarmed and wherever it's far away to get into cover, it's a bad area, you know. And I'll fall back. I want to be in the vicinity of that staircase as much as possible. But so far, so good, you know. Okay. So I decided that I will do a little bit of a lengthier episode this time. So we're going to have an entire episode for the way up, you know, and getting the orb. Okay. The shadow dragons are right now the worst for me, because I lack a resistance against their life-draining properties, and here I have to run immediately. So this is bad, because the Moth of Wrath will enrage these dudes. I can't really stop it from doing so. There's no area where I could run towards to, and that's why I immediately popped my Okawaruk skills to slap them as quick as possible. The Finesse increases my attack speed tremendously, and therefore I can take down these dudes with a lot more speed. Whenever a Moth of Wrath is involved with more enemies, like I said, take precautions. You will regret if not. Quicksilver dragons, by the way, I already mentioned it once, but I want to mention it twice because they really killed me several times. Okay, there are lots of Draconians. Quicksilver dragons have one really, really nasty property, and that's they turn off all your buffs. So that means when you're teleporting, they can turn that off. If you're buffed from potions, they can turn that off. If you're happy about being a living being, they can turn that off. No, but seriously, you can't teleport in front of a Quicksilver dragon. I have paid a high price of losing a very promising character to learn this lesson. I hope you won't need to learn that lesson this way. Okay, so spamming my Okawaru skills here is still something I do quite regularly. I mean, it ain't that much of an improvement, but it is still substantial. Okay, enough of that level has been explored. I dare to go exploring like that. Electric golems, unique enemies for this environment. Lightning bolting, lots of HP, lots of evasion, not so much AC. Immune against lots of elements, but the worst thing about them is that they're hard to hit and that they're spitting lightning. But beyond that, if you're ready to take down most enemies down here, the electrical golems are mostly a problem for magic users. Okay, taking down the Draconian Knight now this time first, because, you know, the last one really was troublesome for me. And the dragons by now are less of a threat than the Draconians, but you might have already noticed that room here is exactly as dangerous as I thought he would be. So stepping in here, I'm drawing out baddies and more baddies and more baddies. So really gotta be careful with that. Here's a Cursed Toe. Cursed Toes are extremely armored, and they got a symbol of torment, and they summon mushrooms. They are among the most annoying enemies out there, and as you see here, that HP damage they do is insane. The only thing that's worth mentioning about them is they're not able to do any damage on their own. They have to summon minions for that, or they let other enemies finish you off. So the best way of dealing with those Cursed Toes is to try to separate them and fight them all on their own. Everything else is super, super, super dangerous. And I consider Cursed Toes to be among the most violently dangerous enemies down here. Okay, so we're done with ZOT 3. Let's go down to ZOT 4. So this is the last level before we get into the actual end game. And well, let's see how well this will work out. So I got teleported in the worst possible way. So first off, I want to get rid of that Moth of Wrath. So Ice Blast wands are a way to go. Here we go. And now I'm stepping back, turn on my God Gifts, and sip in a Potion of Might. This adds up extra oomph into my auto attacks and will be hopefully enough to fight this horde of Draconians. But as you see here already, this is pretty bad. I'm down to 100 HP. Okay, took down the Annihilator. Always the spellcasters first if you can. And let's rest up. Okay. That teleportation trap was super nasty. And really, yeah. That was one of those scenarios which I was talking about a moment before, where I said act quickly. And pelting that thing with my Ice Blast wand was exactly the right way of acting quickly. Okay, so let's see. Draconian Stormcallers, they are summoners. But there's really not much more to be said about them. And here's another Cursed Toe. And Cursed Toes love to spam you with these mushrooms that confuse you. And here's a really bad situation. So we're going to go for the full program, God Gifts and all, because you've already seen how much damage these dudes do. And there's this is the exact combo of Cursed Toe and enemies. I'll be taking that really seriously and using my finest resources. Because, you know, after this, there's nothing more to this game after this, you know? You have won the game after you're done with this, so don't hold back your resources here. It's not a smart choice. So, here we go. Draconian Stormcaller meets Wrath Moths. This level layout, by the way, is one of my favorites because it has a lot of areas where you can hide. Okay, there's a bonanza of Wrath Moths. I mean, that's good. We just killed 4 of these dudes. There's only a limited amount of these on this level, so there's a good chance that we're now done with the majority of these. Okay. So there's yet another. So I'm stepping around the corner inside those enemies. I know it does look a little bit bad, but we're just going to go for another Might Potion here. And get rid of that Moth before it can enrage somebody. You know, a Berserking Draconian Knight is the last thing we want on ourselves. These dudes are already bad enough without Berserking, so doing what I can to get rid of them. There's another Shifter, so I'll just step around the corner here. And we keep doing our thing here. I'm keeping a close eye on my HP the whole time, because, you know, gotta be careful with that. Alright, here's a Ghost Moth. I haven't talked about these yet. They are invisible, and they heal by draining your mana, and they're highly poisonous. They're mostly there to annoy the hell out of spellcasters here. For fighters, they are mostly not that dangerous, because you can slap them. As long as you are able to see invisible, you're good to go. So there's more Draconian Annihilators. This is a really, really dangerous one, actually. So I'm going to go for my God Gifts one more time. Not gonna go for a potion though, because, you know, I'm starting to feel limited on those. So here I'll just Ice Blast that dude, because he's just standing that well. And Ice Blast can be dodged, you know. So I keep pelting this dude, because he's going to slam Damnation on me as well. But luckily that Damnation does hurt his buddy too, so... Alright, there's another Curse Toe down the hallway there. So what I'm doing here is just running away and forcing these dudes into my face. There we go. Okay, so we're done now with ZOT 4. Congratulations. There's only one more level to go, and then we're done with it. So enjoy ZOT 4 or ZOT 5 in the next episode. I thank you guys so much for watching. It's been my pleasure. I hope you did like the double episode, because I didn't want to cut it into two 20-minute episodes. And yeah, next episode, we'll either die trying or win actually the game in the tutorial series. Drop your comments down below, leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and of course consider subscribing. See you guys next time. Bye bye.